it's not that it taught me tenacity necessarily. It just made things better. Like my determination, my patience. I've never really started something and then just pursued it this long. It's like when I was done, I was done. You know, after I started something, okay, my job is complete, boom. But this is like, I'll be fishing for the rest of my life. You know, that's how I feel. As long as I have health and strength, I'll be fishing. And I think it's a beautiful thing when you could just find your passion and really pursue it and have that tenacity and that determination. And I knew that I had that in me, but I think fishing really taught me that and brought that out of me. You know, it enhanced it a little bit.
Hello and welcome to the Bold Black Girls Podcast. I'm Aries.
And I am Kim.
And today we are celebrating our Bold Black Girl of the Month. Y'all know how we do. We find these awesome women that we love to just shine a light on, really, and amplify their platform, learn more about them, and share them with y'all. So y'all can say y'all know somebody who does this.
Exactly.
Now.
In this bold story here.
Yes. So today we have Jazmine Robinson. She is a female angler, honey. Okay. I just found out what an angler was, baby. She fishes for sport. Like, I can't wait to hear more about this. So welcome to the podcast, Jazmine.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. It's a pleasure. I've been watching you guys and I was really excited to come on here. So thank you.
We're excited to have you.
Yes, ma'am. So I found her because we did like a random Bold Black Girl of the Week or something on our Instagram with Tashara Parker, who is a news anchor, journalist, Emmy award winning now.
Yes.
Okay.
There you go. Yes, ma'am.
She did a story on you. And I was like, this is super interesting. And because number one, I don't really know anything about fishing, but just the fact that she's a Black woman out here doing this, and I'm sure you're one of the only ones that is typically out there. I just thought it was super interesting.
Yeah.
It's not Texas.
Yes, I am. Yes. It's not a lot of Black women around here, especially like in the inner city fishing like that. So I think I'm like the resource in my area. But overall, there's not a lot of us. I could tell you there's one woman out of Louisiana that fishes on the pro circuit competitive level. But other than that, it's no one else. It's just maybe I could count on one hand how many of us is out there, and we're all spread out. So Texas is really just your girl, you know, for the most part. And then as far as I know, I mean, there are a couple of women out there who are trying to kind of spread awareness and shed light on it. So there are some of us, but as far as the girls that I can think about, there's some in maybe one or two in California. There's one, Rain Outdoors. She's awesome. She's from North Carolina, I believe. But there's really, not a lot of representation. So
it sounds like now you all feel this community and expose and give more awareness. So tell us, how did you get started? Because when Aries shared this with me, I was like, I have never seen a Black woman fishing. Like, I was like, did she touch it? And then I go on your page.
Yes.
I'm like, she's holding it, gripping it. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, so I'm curious, like, how did this start? When did it start? Like, how old were you?
Trust me, it hadn't always been like this, because I was a lot like that when I started, like, oh my God.
Right.
I have a video of me holding the smallest fish and I was scared to death. So it's been a journey. But I actually wasn't small like a lot of fisher women and men out here. I wasn't 5 or 6 years old. I started about 8 years ago. And really it was, I was in a previous relationship and he was kind of like a country boy, you know. So he introduced me to a lot of it. A lot of our date nights used to be, you know, at the lake and at the pond and things like that. So he really planted the seed. And then, you know, as time progressed, when, you know, things didn't quite work out there, I still stuck with it. And really, I challenged myself because I wasn't sure if I could do it alone, because he did so many things for me. He showed me so many things. And so I made it a personal challenge. And I said, you know what, Jazz, I'm gonna kill it. I'm gonna try to master it because I love it so much, and I just don't want to give it up because we're not together. I want to stick with it. So I just spent a lot of time on the water. I remember I put in my 2 weeks notice for my last job, and I was waiting on my new one. And within that time frame, all I did was go to the lake. All I did was go to the pond and really just watch YouTube videos. YouTube was like my best friend. I watch everybody. So I just kind of got some pointers from there, and I just got better over time. Got better holding the fish. Got better setting up my line, my hook, my weights, everything. So I'm really kind of teaching myself along the way. And within that time frame, I said, you know what? I do so much of this. How about I start a page? You know, how about I create a page and just kind of share my journey and maybe show people things along the way. And it started there. So the page is maybe barely over a year old, and a lot has happened since then. So that's how it started.
I think that's, first of all, let's just talk about the fact that you can take what you need to take out of these relationships, y'all.
I was thinking the same thing. Like, he planted the seed and you watered it, and look at you blooming.
Exactly. Yeah. Because you learn stuff in relationships, right? I think that sometimes we'll be like, oh, I wasted my time and I don't know what happened. You better find the thing that you're going to be taking out of that, because now you have developed a whole new something that started off as a hobby. And you've developed this into something else now.
Right. And, you know, we're on good terms and everything. I thank him all the time for just kind of introducing me to it. And I definitely didn't walk away saying I, you know, wasted my time or anything like that. You know, I found my passion, and I'm always going to be grateful for that. So,
yes, I love it. Okay, so talk to us about the process. Okay, because I remember when I was little and my granddad used to fish. My dad's dad, he was a fisherman, I would say, and he did it. He was definitely not catch and release. He was catching it. He would bring it to the house and he would scale it and fillet it and everything, like the whole nine. It'd be a whole bloody mess in the backyard. So how did you get to the point where, because I know you the way you do it is more catch and release for the most part.
For the most part, when it comes to bass fishing, I typically release those. That's when you're fishing on the competitive level, you fish for bass most of the time. And, you know, they always say, let them go or let them grow, you know. So I typically release those. Plus bass, I don't think is that good anyway. It's not that tasty in my opinion. But outside of that, your catfish and your crappie, yeah, that's good eating right there. So I didn't want to rely on anybody else. My dad helps me, of course, but you know, sometimes if he's not available, I need to know how to do it myself. So again, YouTube, looking up ways to cut it and just how to fillet it, because I eat mine filleted. I don't really like them whole. So I just kind of got the cuts down, and boy, I missed a lot of meat initially. I was horrible at cutting them. Yeah, I left a lot of stuff that could have been big fillets turned out to be little nuggets. So it's been a process, but you know, over time I've gotten better with it. And yeah, so when I keep them, I bring them home. I get my little table out with my electric knife, and I turn my music on, and I'm just in the zone. So I do it all now.
Wow. So how many have you caught at one time? What's the most?
At one time, well, I'll probably have to say when my dad and I were on a guided trip some months back, we caught 54 total
Wow.
catfish. But alone by myself, I would say the most is 15.
Okay, that's still
So yeah,
Dang, that's still
yeah,
exactly.
so
yeah.
your dad fishes as well then.
I have taught him.
You taught your dad?
Yeah, he did, and that's the thing. That's why I said I didn't grow up fishing. My dad didn't grow up fishing. He's a golfer like your dad. He likes to golf. And he was into sports, football and stuff, but he never really. I think he may have fished once or twice growing up. So, like I said, my ex really taught me everything. He taught me everything, and when I'm interested in something, I kind of just dive into it. I want to learn everything I can about it. So. But my dad loves spending time with me, so he wanted to learn because he saw how much I was going and how interested I was. So I bought him his first rod and reel combo, and we went out to the pond, and yeah.
I love it. We're daddy's girls, so we over here just like
no.
Yeah. It was a good experience, and he caught like some little fish initially, but when we went on that catfishing trip, he really kind of started to grasp the concept and when you actually set your hook and reel the fish in. So I think he may have ended up catching a little bit more than me, and he's still talking noise to this day about that. So.
But that's a good bonding experience. I mean,
absolutely.
And the fact that he saw that, okay, she's taking to this hobby, of hers, and I want to spend time with my daughter. Like, tell me about what you're interested in. We need that. We need more fathers to be doing the same thing, right? Like, that's absolutely a great thing to take interest in what your child is interested in. We do it, right? Like with my dad, I'll be, oh, what sport is this? And what team is your team? And everything, you try to be there, to relate and have quality time. So I love that he did that and chose to come along.
We definitely bonded a lot out there, and you have your good talks out there just about everything. I always tell people fishing is a great time to just kind of reflect, clear your head, whether it's something good you think about or bad. It's just really good to be amongst the elements and decompress. So it's not just a sport thing. I mean, that's kind of what I'm placing emphasis on, but really as a hobby, it's just relaxing, it just gives us another option to just have another outlet.
Absolutely.
So I love it.
I like how you speak on that. And I was reading an article about you. And in these hobbies, like for me, like I started taking up golf, and it has taught me like take your time, be patient, focus. What about you? What has fishing taught you? What have you taken from it?
Just having tenacity and just being determined. I've always been determined about things. I mean, I get the job done. I don't tend to procrastinate on things. So it's not that it taught me tenacity necessarily. It just made things better. Like my determination, my patience. I've never really started something and then just pursued it this long. It's like when I was done, I was done. After I started something, okay, my job is complete, boom. But this is like, I'll be fishing for the rest of my life. That's how I feel. As long as I have health and strength, I'll be fishing. And I think it's a beautiful thing when you can just find your passion and really pursue it and have that tenacity and that determination. And I knew that I had that in me, but I think fishing really taught me that and brought that out of me. It enhanced it a little bit.
It gave you an outlet to exercise it.
Exactly. So patience has gotten better. It's helped me with a little bit of everything, I would say. But fishing does require a lot of patience. And like you said, with golf and everything, it's an anticipation type of sport, and what I love is that you never know what's on the end of your hook. When you see your rod bend, you really don't know what it is because you could be targeting a certain fish, but you may end up catching something else. Last year, I was bass fishing, and I was I casted my line out and I was retrieving it, and obviously I was fishing for bass, but a huge carp bit my lure. And so I'm reeling it in, and I said, this isn't no bass. And so it's like a 10-pound bass, you know? So I'm reeling and reeling. And I'm telling you, people at the pond started gathering around, watching me reel this fish in. And the thing is, I had a very light, sensitive combo. Like I had you probably, I don't know if you guys know
No, we don't.
but it's fishing line, and you have different pound test lines. And so you want to use your lower pounds when you're fishing for smaller fish. So like they have 4-pound test line, 6-pound test line. When you want to catch little fish, that's the line you use, because you know those fish won't break that line. It's strong enough to handle those fish. So when I was fishing that day, my test line was only 4 pounds. Carp are very heavy fish. I don't know if you've ever seen a carp, but it's like a huge goldfish looking fish. It has like a very pretty pattern on the side of it, but they're very strong fish. They're very strong. And that fish bit my lure, and I tried my best not to have that line break, because if it broke, I would have lost the fish. But it took me about 12 to 15 minutes to get that in, but it was beautiful. It was a beautiful experience. So it's just a mystery. Like you never really know what's on the end of your line, and that's the joy that I find in it. It's anticipation, it's patience, it's just fulfilling.
And how do you know, like, because you said that you'll go looking for a specific type, how do you know where they are? Right. Like the type of fish that's in this specific place? Like, how do you know, okay, this is where bass is, this is where this is, how do you even know?
That's something that I kind of had to learn over time. And there's a lot of research that goes into fishing. It's not just going to a pond or a lake and fishing. It's really learning about structure and the things that fish like to be around. So crappie fishing, which I told you is like my favorite, they like brush and trees and wood and stumps. So when I go somewhere to crappie fish, I look for those things. I look for those areas, trees, and a lot of times, like the lakes, like Joe Pool and other lakes, they actually plant trees in certain areas, and the crappie just hover around them. So when people go fishing, they go to those areas. So that's kind of, what I look for. Catfish are bottom feeders. We all know that they eat junk and everything else. So when you're fishing for catfish, you want to drop your line all the way down to the bottom, because that's where they'll be. And you want to use stinky stuff for them. They like food. I'm laughing at your face.
You making us be like, should we not be catfish? Like, this don't sound right.
They like food and just stuff that smells. So when you're fishing for catfish, people use hot dogs, people use chicken liver, people use stink bait, which is like dough bait that you put on a treble hook and you just drop it down there. So it's all types of techniques. But when you're targeting catfish, that's what you use. Okay. Bass, they tend to roam around the ponds and lakes. So that's why you see a lot of bass fishermen casting and retrieving. You don't really just throw your line out there and wait on it. Like catfish, you're actually trying to, entice the fish and bring them to you. So every species is different. So there's a lot of research that you have to do beforehand to figure out what you're going to target. And I learned all of that over time.
There's like psychology around this. Like I'm feeling like, like as you're talking, I'm like, the type of thing that, and I'm going deeper than the fish at this point, because I'm like, thinking about what you want, you got to have the right kind of bait.
Right. Like, you want this.
Yeah. Go where the good fish are. You
right. I got an example. We just were talking about this. She sent me a TikTok. I was like, well, where I go, those type of people aren't shopping at Whole Foods. So if you want me, I'm going to be at Whole Foods. You're not going to find me at Piggly Wiggly.
Right. Bait.
Girl.
I was literally sitting up here thinking like,
we could write a book about this, child. I'm sure there's some already out there, but I was thinking as you're talking, I'm like, so the catfish like the hot dogs, they like stinky stuff.
Right.
We're the that like the quality bait.
Right.
Expensive bait. And I guess I love
the high maintenance fish.
The high maintenance fish. Where are they? Right. And I love that you have a hobby, because I'm finding a lot of people don't have hobbies these days.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like in your hobby, you weren't looking to monetize from it, right? It was just something
no
doing. Let me ask you this: like certain hobbies, like I like golf, and I know there are certain type of people. Who are you seeing out there while you're fishing? Like, do you see any black men? Because maybe I need to go fishing.
They're out there. It just kind of depends on where you go. You know, I see a lot of older men, so a lot of grandpas. Yeah, but grandpas,
uncles.
Uncles.
No, I see a lot of, actually there's way more black men than women, of course. So a lot of times when I'm fishing, I'm literally the only black woman out there. And, you know, I see men, and a lot of times I see older women. So like maybe women in their 60s or 70s, just sitting out at the pond, just chilling, you know. Mm-hmm. So they're out there, but it kind of just depends on where you go.
Right.
Okay, I got a question. Yeah. So, as the black woman out there, the only one, have you encountered any issues? Like, cause I know that some of the places that you go may be like residential areas or something. Have you had anybody like approach you, try to be like, "What you doing up in our pond?" or anything crazy happen?
No, you know what? I stay clear from the private areas, and a lot of guys do that. They're not afraid to kind of step on other people's property and fish while they can until someone says anything to them. Most of the time, I go fishing alone, and I don't want those type of problems. You know, I don't want to get into any type of encounter. So I try to stay away from private areas and things like that. So I've never really had any issues. The only thing is what happens is that because I'm a woman, a lot of times men don't think you know what you're doing. So a lot of times when I'm, you know, setting up my riding reel and everything, and I always hear somebody, well, try doing it like this or doing it like that. And I'm like, I got it. Not that I don't want any kind of tips or insight, because I welcome that. But you have people out there that kind of assume it's a different tone that they're using. It's like, oh, you don't know what you're doing, you know. And then the minute I catch a fish, they're like, oh, oh, she does know.
Oh, she knows what she's doing.
Right. So sometimes guys, you know, every now and then they tend to underestimate you because they don't see it often. But a lot of times I prove them wrong. So you know,
I love it. That's the goal. Breaking barriers, right? And looking at what representation looks like. Because I mean, I've never gone fishing, and I would love to go fishing. Have you thought about, like, I know you have your platform going, but just young girls, teaching them how to fish, like, because I think that's a skill.
And old girls, I would go out there. Shoot.
Absolutely. I have a lot of things in store for next year. So I'm trying to like hold on to it. But I have some nice collabs that I'm going to do probably around spring, and taking just a small group of girls out. Not too many people, because I want things to be personalized. Yeah. And I feel like if I take a ton of people, I don't have time to really just talk to them and teach them. So I'm going to just start out small. Just maybe a couple of adults and a few young girls, and take them out and just show them the basics. Because you'd be surprised. I get a lot of messages in my inbox, Instagram. Listen, I showed my daughter your page, and we love it, and she would love to start fishing. And do you mind if giving her a few pointers? And I'm like, not at all, you know. So I'm starting to get a lot of that, and it's just that's amazing. Such a beautiful feeling, yeah. Because I think, because even if I don't fish on a competitive level and I don't reach the pro circuit, I know that I'm doing my job in the area, because it's like I told you guys, it's just representation. And I think that a lot of people just didn't know that Black women were fishing like that, you know? They didn't know that. So the fact that they know me now and that I can be a resource, I love it. If I could teach somebody else and they can go on to compete, on the professional level, I've done my job.
And you're
that's definitely in the works.
You're young. I think that's the other thing. It's not just that you're a Black woman, because I feel like you go to the country, like I got some country family members, and like I remember going, we would put bacon on the hook and go get crawfish out the little stuff. Yeah, we would do little stuff like that. So I've been fishing before and all that. I don't, that's not something that I would be like, let me do this and put the worms on the hook and all that. Ooh. But I've been there, when it's happened. But just the fact that you're a young woman that's doing this, that's another piece. Is like, sometimes you'll see people and you can see a Black woman somewhere and be like, oh, she's killing it. She's doing her thing. But when it's a younger person, you're like, okay, that's a whole nother level of representation as well. Right. Like seeing someone young, like, oh, I didn't even know young folks is out here caring about this, so.
Right. And I'm glad I kind of got into it when I did. And, I'm 33, so I'm still, I'm still young. Yeah. And I have a lot more time to do this. And that's what I love about it. And even if I was older, it's fine, because I don't know if you guys are familiar with the ebony anglers. They're saltwater fishing a Black women fishing team, and they compete with like deep sea fishing and things like that. They fish for a lot of marlin, I believe. So that's another level. But I think a lot of them are like in their 40s, maybe even approaching 50, but they just started. So there's no age to it. But I am glad that, in an effort to teach young girls and everything, that I learned it when I did, and I'm really into it now. And I think I got a lot more years ahead of me to do this.
Yeah. And it's a lifelong thing. Like you said, this is not something that, like, if you get out of shape, you can't do it no more. That's true. Similar to like golf. Even golf is like, okay, I could get a little bit out of shape, but that's one of those, you can do that forever, pretty much, as long as you have some ability, you got some strength in your arms, so you can pull them.
Right. Yeah. You may need to lift a little bit. Keep your upper body strong.
That is true. Do you have to like work out to keep your upper body strong?
I mean, not really. Obviously you want to be able to set your hook and reel in the fish. So I guess if you're not in tip-top shape, you can get tired a little faster or something. But I'm sure the pro anglers, like the guys that fish, I'm sure they have to stay in shape to some degree, because fishing is a lot tiresome. It's tiresome. It's more tiresome than people think. Just hauling all of your equipment out there, especially people that have boats. Being on the water all day is draining. So,
it is.
You have to have type of endurance and things like that. So I imagine they work out to some degree, but is it necessary? Nah, I don't think so.
Well, when you told me you were fooling around 12 to 15 minutes trying to pull in that one fish, I would give it up.
Sort of next day. Yes, I was. Because it's my right arm, because that's my arm I reel with, and the fish was heavy. And then think about it, things are heavier underwater.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, imagine, I'm just doing freshwater fishing in lakes and ponds, but deep sea fishing is a whole nother level, because you're reeling fish in from 50 to 100 feet down, or up. So you're having to reel through different currents and waves and stuff like that. So it's it can be a challenge at times.
The ebony anglers are out there handling that deep sea,
right?
Yeah, that's on my list for next year, to do more deep sea fishing. So there'll be a lot more content with that type of fishing next year.
I love it. Okay, what was I going to ask? I had another question about. Is there a certain time that you go? Like, is there a better time in the day? Because some people used to go like at the crack of dawn, before dawn or whatever. Like, is there a preferred time?
The early bird gets the worm.
That's real.
Okay.
That's
okay.
Early in the morning. That's the best time to go. Do I always make it? No, because I have a fish alarm. I have a fish alarm. Matter of fact, every Saturday morning at 5, it goes off and it says, "Go catch them." And yeah, a lot of times I sleep past that alarm. So, But that's the best time to go. They bite early when the water is cooler, especially around this time of year, fall and winter. Fish are kind of hungrier in the morning. You know, the bite is better. When the sun comes out, they tend to go deeper and just kind of do their own thing. Nighttime fishing is good. Nighttime is when creatures and things come out. So I don't do a whole lot of that.
Oh.
I think that's the misconception with us fisher women and anglers. Sometimes they think, oh, she goes fishing, she's not scared of nothing. That's not true, because I don't like raccoons. I don't like raccoons. I don't do snakes or anything like that. So I try to stay away from that.
Oh my gosh. So how often do you fish? You said you have an alarm set for every Saturday. Do you go every week?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Time on the water is important. They say if you want to get better, spend as much time on the water as you can. Obviously, you know, I have a job, so I can't do it every day. If I could, I would. But I try to do once or twice a week, but definitely Saturday morning. Saturday morning is my day. And depending on how that Saturday goes, that determines how Sunday is going to be. So if I didn't catch anything Saturday, if I got skunked, I'm definitely going Sunday morning.
Oh wow.
Saturday, if I had a good day, if I'm satisfied with it, I'll say, okay, Sunday I just may relax a bit. I won't go on Sunday. So it kind of depends.
Okay.
I have a deep question.
Well, I have one more question on this though. So golf, you have to buy golf clubs. It's a good investment. If someone wants to fish, what is the financial investment that they would need to make in order to get the equipment and the expectation win? Because I know you have to pay sometimes to go fish. Like it's not free.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes it depends on, like, if you go to a state park, most of the times you have to pay. But I do a lot of pond hopping around the area, so I mean that's free.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not a cheap hobby. Just like golf, it's not cheap. Especially, it depends on how far you want to take it. What's the extent of it? It would be pointless for me to buy a bunch of cheap equipment when I'm going all the time, because stuff breaks and I have to spend more money. So when I got better and when I learned that, okay, you know, you're trying to take this to the next level, I went to Academy, I went to Bass Pro, and I just looked at the best equipment that I could find. That was in my price range, of course. I can't just go overboard, but I found like the best equipment. I asked the reps there, like, is this durable? Will I have any issues with this? Can I bring it back or something?
Right.
Can you help me out to it? And they said, no, you got a good rod and reel there. So I went and kind of and I tried to buy tackle for each type of species. So I have rods and reels for bass. I have rods and reels for crappie. I have rods and reels for catfish and the larger fish. I can't just use one for all of them. I have to have different size rods and reels for all of them. So I've definitely spent some money, but it's worth it. It's worth it in my opinion. I think if you're gonna pursue something like this, you might as well go all in, so you won't have to keep buying stuff. The only thing that I have to continue to buy is bait, of course, because once I'm out, I'm out. But those are like, $3-4 a package, depending on what you get. So yeah.
Okay. So earlier you mentioned about, the patience it takes and all that. And I was just watching this Miles Monroe old clip of him. I love him. He was talking about vision, and he was saying how like a lot of us don't get quiet enough to really hear God telling us what we're supposed to be doing with ourselves, just in our lives, period. Right. What's your purpose and all, just all this different stuff. He was like, a lot of us don't get quiet enough to actually let what's inside of us speak to us. And I imagine being out there on the water and just, in nature, like you have probably learned some things about yourself over these years. Can you share some of the things that you feel like how you've grown and things that maybe you've discovered about yourself while sitting out there waiting on your fish?
That's heavy.
Whatever you feel comfortable sharing.
Yes. And it doesn't.
It's fun. It's honestly, it would probably have to be my confidence, I think. I've always been a confident person, in my opinion. However, this is something that I'm truly confident in. And even when I have doubts about, like, what am I doing with this? This is just fishing and sometimes the pressure, because I have gotten a little exposure and people expect things from you at this point, especially with, y'all know how social media is with, working with the algorithm of all of these just social media outlets. If you don't post content and things, you start losing people and all of that. So sometimes it's like I didn't get into it to become famous or anything. It's just I'm just sharing my journey and the additional things that have happened just kind of happened. And so I think a lot of times I have had doubt about doing this, and am I good enough to compete on this level? And, am I doing the right things? And I see this person doing this and I don't know how to do that.
Right.
So over time, I think just really diving into it and really spending time out there and, watching others and reading, it really has allowed me to gain more confidence. So during the times that I doubted myself, and it's crazy because I had this conversation with my mom not too long ago. I said, you know what? I'm struggling. The fish aren't biting. I'm feeling discouraged and everything. And the minute I was doubting myself, one of my followers, actually this has happened on multiple occasions, I would always get a random message from a follower that said, keep doing what you're doing. We're out here watching. Like, keep doing what you're doing, sister. You're an inspiration to people. I've been following you for this long. I remember one guy reached out and I hadn't even been talking to him, and he was like, don't worry about, not catching fish. It happens. It's seasonal. A lot of times location is key. And if you look at other people, they're in different locations, so the bite can be better. But where you are, it's just a little slow. So don't get discouraged. You out here killing it. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, sometimes I need those positive affirmations because, I'm out here kind of just doing it on my own, which is a part of my story. I don't really get a lot of help with this. I'm just kind of out here grinding, figuring stuff out. And I think that's why that has allowed people to kind of gravitate towards me and my story and my page. So I think this has definitely taught me confidence. And I'm constantly building confidence from when I started until now. You can go back to my first post and the stuff I was talking about all the way to the most recent. And it was like, wow, I really see her progression. I really see her growth. And I know I have a lot more to do, have a lot more to learn. So I'm not, like, I know everything. I think I'm constantly building confidence. And it's just a good feeling to be able to see and feel that you're really making progress in something that you love. So I think just being out of the water.
You're doing it. Like, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing at the point where you're supposed to be doing it. And sometimes when we compare ourselves to other people, they're at a different point, right? So you are at a point where there's still people that are not at your point yet that need to see you do your thing, your way, how it works for you. And I think sometimes when we get out of the not comparing ourselves to others, I mean, we could look at others and see, okay, they're at this phase of their journey. Cool. Now I know what could be, right? Like, it's exposure. Right. But also saying, I'm okay with where I'm at in my point in the journey. And I'm going to use whatever the reason why I'm in this phase. There's somebody else that needs to see me as I go through my point of this. So it always, then you just know, like, I'm doing my purpose every day. Like, wherever I'm at every day is a part of the purpose plan.
Right. And I had to learn that, just my purpose and, being confident in that and not comparing myself to other people. And you hit it on the nail. Like, there's a lot of people that reach out and ask me, like, oh my God, like, you're doing great. And how do you do this? And how do you do that? So I had to sit back and think, well, wow, like, I could show them this, Right. So I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned, just kind of believing in myself and being confident in myself to just keep going and know that I'm inspiring others and not to compare myself. Because if it's meant for me to get to that point, I will.
Yeah.
So
and look at
I believe that wholeheartedly.
he is using you through a hobby, right?
Yeah.
Most people equate themselves to their jobs and who I am. You are doing something that you're really, truly passionate about. That's part of your purpose at the end of the day.
Yep.
We love it.
This is affirmation right now.
It is because literally I just so happened to see it on the news thing and I just saved it on the side and I was like, oh, we gotta get our podcast. I already knew I was going to get you on the podcast. This is way like in the summertime. And it was just like, okay, let's figure out where we want to put her. And I just slid in the DMs as I do. And slid in those DMs. And you were super gracious. So how can people find you? Tell people where you're at.
You can find me on Instagram, Castaway_Jazz. I'm also on TikTok. TikTok is lit. I just got on there not so long ago. I get a lot of love on TikTok, and I remember one video got like 73,000 views.
Wow.
Just me showing off a fish, and I started getting like a bunch of love after that. So TikTok is definitely helps, and it's getting up there. But you can find me on there. That's Castaway Jazz. Also, I also have a YouTube page. I'm still kind of working on it. Another thing I'm trying to do is get better with video editing and things like that. Sometimes it's hard because I go fishing alone and I don't have anyone to kind of record me.
Yeah.
But I've been talking to some people, so hopefully that'll get better next year. But my YouTube page is Castaway Jazz Outdoors. If you want to check that out, I got some stuff on there. Right now.
So we will definitely plug it and put the links in our all our little description boxes and all the things that we're gonna have this on. Every platform is different, so you're gonna get a different vibe everywhere. I've seen that when we just started really working on our YouTube page this year. Like we were using it as a repository, just throwing videos up every time we recorded, but weren't really like telling people to go to YouTube. Now we are, because we're trying to get to like 1,000 subscribers now. So
yeah, you guys are on the road to 1,000. And
it's been going good. We're at like 580 something now, I think. So I was like, okay, look at us trying to build our little page. So yes,
I appreciate you guys for just kind of shedding light on the women out here doing it. I would have to come on here and just talk to you guys, because this doesn't happen. So
listen,
it's
bold enough to touch a fish.
Bold black girl for real.
I'm scared of you. And you fillet too. You really bold.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely look. We want to stay connected with you and keep us posted on if you're gonna be doing something next year. Look, we got to get Kim out there so she can see.
I will come.
What's popping. And I definitely love to see you in action out there in the pond.
You might have some TikTok content fooling with me though,
right? Exactly.
I'd love to have you guys.
Thank you so much, Jazmine. We really appreciate you coming. And we're gonna keep our eye on you.
Yes, Jazmine.
Okay,
thank you.
No problem. Thank you, guys.